So if you can make sure that your customer is like kind of your North Star, then that's, I think, the best way forward. The events of recent years have kind of created an understandable anxiety amongst business owners, employees, and so on. And I think there is this nervousness about what's going to happen. And I think we need to make people feel more comfortable about that. And I think business owners need to create this vision. They need to understand that things aren't going to suddenly go back to normal, and that they have to be ready for the uncertain world, but that uncertain world can be an exciting one, and that actually for the smart company, they can they can use this uncertainty to identify new business opportunities, new growth opportunities. I think if you look at something like COVID showed that actually, if we have to change, we can change very quickly. It's amazing, I think, how quickly people change. If you look at, it just took a few months for people to organise that. Some of the office managers and COOs did a remarkable job. And actually, employees changed remarkably quickly. And we got very used to it. Yes, there were teething troubles. And yes, some companies adapted better than others, but we did really well. And it just shows that you can do that. And it also shows that traditional ways of working, the old-fashioned ways of working, aren't necessarily the best ones for this time. It forced us, in effect, to sort of see the future of the way that business is done. And I think that was a good thing. In terms of what trends businesses need to prepare for, I think the key is really going to be that uncertainty is the new norm. Companies need to be aware that the world is going to be volatile. That means companies themselves need to adapt to this and be more agile and more resilient, ready for whatever comes. It also means, though, that there are certain things you can predict about consumers. In a volatile, unstable world, consumers will be looking for, I believe, three things. They'll be looking for control. They want to take greater control of their lives because the world's a bit out of control. They'll be looking for comfort. It's all a bit stressful and anxious, let's relax a bit. And they'll be looking for community, a sense of support, whoever that's from. Actually, we're as consumers, we've lost a lot of trust in the big institutions, governments, media, some of the biggest businesses. Actually, this third thing that the three C's, control, comfort, and community, this last one, community, is going to be a key trend moving forward. I've actually created a new talk around this. This is a really important trend, and it's one whereby I think it's a huge win-win opportunity for businesses. You have some very stressed, anxious customers out there. They don't have the same sort of support networks that they used to have from business and government and so on. They are looking for support, and I think if companies can offer them that support, if they can provide the best kind of customer experience, give them ways, give them advice on how to live their lives, give them advice on how to save money, help them in this new time, make them feel supported, make them feel part of what I call a brand community, then I think we'll see huge levels of loyalty. All of the stats show it. The more engaged people are with a brand, the more they'll spend with it, the more loyal they'll be. And in this really unstable time, your customers are looking for help where they can get it. If you can provide that help, you really are going to gain a huge competitive advantage. To me, everything really hinges on the consumer. I've always been into kind of people, as it were. I started off in the music industry, working with everyone from Michael Jackson to Rolling Stones, doing marketing. And much as I love the musicians, I realised that my fascination was with music fans and the customers. And I think they say, that's always been what's led me through. And I believe wholeheartedly, and I think all of the statistics and all of the examples are proving me right now, that the customer-led company does best. And this is going to be true more and more as we move forward. Increasingly, you need to focus on customer needs. You need to be much more customer focused than you ever were. Customers don't have to be loyal. They can move wherever they want. They've got all this choice. So if you can make sure that your customer is like kind of your North Star, then that's, I think, the best way forward. I think also it's really important to look at consumer attitudes. People talk about consumer behaviours all the time. Are people going online? Are they using mobile for this or that? And I think that's, it's a hugely important thing. It's a great way of creating kind of platforms for sales and marketing. But actually, I think the key is to look at consumer attitudes, because consumer attitudes predate and therefore help you predict consumer behaviours. We don't suddenly do something for no reason. We don't suddenly decide we're going to be greener and so on because, well, it's just we decided to be greener. I think it's much more important to focus on consumer attitudes than it is on consumer behaviours. Consumer behaviours are vital. It's useful to know what, whether consumers are going online or using their mobiles for this or that. And it's important. It's a really useful. It provides us with sales platforms and marketing platforms for them. So it's great and it will be key. But to me, the smart companies are the ones that pick up on consumer attitudes. Because if you can identify how consumer attitudes are changing, then it's easier to predict how consumer behaviours are going to change in the future. You can actually predict them. We don't suddenly change our behaviours for no reason. There must be something driving that. We change our behaviours because our attitudes have changed. We pursue green behaviours. We buy, we recycle, we buy greener because what's driven us? Because our attitudes towards climate have changed. Maybe it's because the government have persuaded us. Maybe it's because the media have. Maybe because our friends are. Whatever reason, something has persuaded us. Our attitude has changed. So if you were able to predict how green people would be as soon as you saw that their attitude towards climate was changing, that's how you predict those future behaviours. So keep an eye on the consumer attitudes. It really helps you predict what your customers are going to do. I think basically it's really useful to understand some basic human psychology, and anything you can do, whatever department you're in, if you are consumer facing, it's really important to try and get some understanding. I've learned so much over the years on that. It's really helped me. And I think the key on that is that typically any human is motivated by their emotions, whether that's fear or happiness or loneliness or embarrassment or whatever it is. And if you can kind of pick up on some of those emotions and see, if you understand, and this is how I work out the process, and in order to be able to predict what customers' new needs and expectations are going to be, understand what emotions are motivating them right now, try to identify what might affect those emotions, in terms of the economic situation, maybe more fear because the geopolitical situation, a bit more confidence because of some of the new personal technologies coming through. If you can try and pick up on what some of those future drivers might be, then you can understand what the new emotions might be, and therefore what the new attitudes are, and therefore what the new behaviours are. It's really key. As I say, I feel like sometimes I'm a cross between a journalist and a psychiatrist, understanding what's happening in the world, looking at the news, and also understanding how that's going to affect customer attitudes and behaviours.